What's the one thing that somebody in your life always never either has or always never has enough of? It could be a ice scraper or a fly swatter, but it also could be a whiskey stone. A whiskey stone is like ice, except it's made out of a rock. And there's two reasons that you would use that. One is because the rock won't melt, at least not in like normal household range temperatures, and so it's green. The other reason is that rock will actually hold cold better than ice does. You've probably noticed if you've gone to the beach in the summer, if you're like making a sandcastle and you dig down, if you're digging down like a foot or something like that because you want to build a dungeon or something in your castle, under your castle, if you dig down about a foot, you've probably noticed that you'll hit ice down there, and that's because the sand keeps the ice cold from the winter longer than the water. So the water in the river or the lake or whatever is thawed from the winter, but the ice down below in the sand doesn't thaw because the sand keeps it colder for longer. So this is what we're going to need for the whiskey stone. Plastic bag, scissors, a bottle. You need some markers for the face, construction paper, either tape or glue, and that should be all we need to do and two twist ties, and some paint and a fine-toothed tip paintbrush, and a paper clip. Oh, and you will need snow and sand, which I don't have right now, but that I know where to get some. So to start, I'm going to draw the face on the upper corner of the plastic bag. Probably do black eyes. For orange, you could do a carrot nose. And the mouth. And the buttons. And then take your scissors and cut the bag to size. Oh, and then what next? I think we got to get the snow. So once you get the snow, you got to act fast so it doesn't melt, though. So I may have gotten too much, but it's better to have too much than not enough, because otherwise you have to go back. So what we're going to do is take these twist ties and put one I'm nervous. Around the neck to make the neck. It could kind of be like a bow tie. body, and you want to make sure it will fit in there. Not too much. And you want to twist this one real tight so that the water can't get out. And these could be the feet, actually. And then we're going to cut off the excess. And then you can just put that snow back outside. Let's make sure it fits first. Oh shit, it will fit, but one thing I was going to do is, with your construction paper, you can make a hat. Now, traditionally, the traditional snowman's hat is black, but if you don't want to do a traditional hat, or if you used all your black paper, so what you need to do is cut a rectangle, circle. And then you take your tape, you can just take your markers and color it black. Next we got to get the sand, so I'll show you where you can get that. And then when you do that, you can take the snow outside and dump that. Okay, I think this is where I can get that sand I was telling you about a couple minutes ago. You have like an old, if you have a cottage cheese container, or really any container for that matter. I think this is sand. Yep. Let's see. You won't need very much. Maybe that. Because we're not going to fill that glass thing. We're just going to put a little in the base. That's probably too much. But you're better to have a little too much than not enough, because otherwise you got to go back. That's probably enough. Okay, we're back with the sand and the snowman. And I apologize, I was getting a little freaked out. Like, we got to act fast so this doesn't melt. But once you get the snowman in the bag and sealed, that's kind of the whole point. It will melt and refreeze when you freeze it in the freezer after you use it in a drink. So what we're going to do is basically make it kind of a beach scene. So just going to pour a little sand in the bottom. You have this jar and you don't want the sand or anything leaking into your drink. So this is a spice jar that I'm using by chance. So there's all these holes, and I'm not sure it's a real tight seal. So that's why we have the glue and the paper clip. So the glue, if it's not, usually you'll need the paper clip to punch a hole in the top of the glue to make sure it comes out. And what you're going to want to do is just glue all the way around this rim, and also I'm going to put some glue in the threads. So any type of super glue or Gorilla Glue, anything that will basically be watertight is what you're looking for. So there. Then just for safe measure, I'm going to put just a thin bead on the treads. And then it can't be opened, so a child can't open it or whatever and eat it or play with it. And you're just going to let that dry for 10 or 15 minutes before you put it in a drink. And then the final stage, this is optional, is you can paint a Christmas message on there or a holiday greeting. Merry Christmas. I shouldn't put it on the front though. Never know. Let's do it on the back. And we'll put the year on the bottom, maybe. And then let that paint dry, let the glue dry, and then it should be ready to go into a drink and keep your drink cold.